Well, Dr. Putnam, thank you for being here with us today. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about the kind of needs that you all are trying to address here at the nursing school?
Okay. Well, when I came, there wasn't an established nursing school. Someone had done some preliminary work, but there were no students. The program had not started, so we really looked at some of the data that had been gathered about the percentage of nurses in the region who were prepared at the baccalaureate level. And it was very low compared to the national standards. The studies that had been done nationally about that time, Kentucky was fourth from the bottom in all 50 states as far as baccalaureate prepared nurses. So, the goal was to increase that, and the school started with RN to BSN, so we were taking nurses who were already nurses and moving them to the baccalaureate level. And while that's very important, a lot of nurses don't see the need to do that. It typically does not immediately raise their pay. We're getting more pressure from employers to have students do that. But at that time, there was not a lot of incentive. And so the RN to BSN program was operated out of a small classroom in another building. It served as the classroom and the lab. We had 4 exam tables, and we've kept 2 of those and brought them over here with us. But it was all exam tables because an RN to BSN student needed community health, they needed leadership management, they did not need the basic skills. So we operated out of a very small space. And then when we got out into the community, we really found that there were lots of people that said, that's great, to do the RN to BSN, but my daughter wants to be a nurse, and she's going to go to the community college and maybe never finish her baccalaureate, or have to go a distance to get a baccalaureate. So we started tracking how many people were asking that, that were in the region and wanted to be a baccalaureate prepared nurse from ground zero. And the numbers were large. So then we started looking at, how can we expand? We can't do that out of this little classroom. We need more space. We'll need a lot more equipment and facilities to do a traditional program.
In addition to being able to really expand your program, I think that you've really developed some additional capacities and additional curriculum by being able to relocate to the center.
Yes, very much so, because we just have the space for classrooms. We have the labs that could be used for a variety of types of programs in the future.
I know that the first class of nursing students came in this year. What was that initial enrollment, and looking across the next 5 years, how do you expect the program to grow?
Well, we have accepted our first group of students that will officially start in the fall. They had pathophysiology this spring. We have 18 students now that will be entering in the fall. Our capacity when we applied with the Board of Nursing and got approval for them was 30. And they wanted us to look at all the clinical agencies and what did we think we could find good clinical sites for how many students, and we came up with 30. With our simulation, I think we could probably expand that once, we want to get students through one time, see how they do on the national licensure exam, and then really think about expanding for more students. So I really think we could expand 10% a year after that, depending on how we do with, particularly OB and pediatrics are hard to find, and that's why we got simulators where we could do part of their clinical and simulation. We'll also do part of their clinical in the community, and we're going to do an international or Appalachian clinical in the summer.
Great.
Over like a week to 10-day period that'll be focused on children. So,
fantastic. How do you feel that the community's accepted the school being here? Have you gotten a lot of local community support, from the program and your all's goals?
Very much so. The Board of Trustees, which some of them are local, but they're certainly our supporters, are very much behind what we're doing. Our building was named after one of our Board of Trustee members. Our School of Nursing was named after another, so very important there. And then the health department, the hospital, all of those people are very much behind us. Local healthcare providers. We're having a lot of people come to see our facility, and this past year has kind of been the year to do that when we don't have a lot of students in there, and we have pretty much opened it up to groups to do tours and for them to know. It amazes me sometimes that people that are from Barbourville don't know that we're here. Mm-hmm. And so we want to get that word out.
Tell me a little bit about the process that you went through in compiling all the different funding sources that you use. As we spoke, this is a relatively large project from a financing standpoint. And tell me a little bit about how you all went through that process and why that New Markets Tax Credits financing was important.
Okay. And I've been very fortunate that lots of other people have been doing a whole lot of that.
Sure.
But my understanding is that really was the bedrock of getting the building and getting the building to this wonderful state that it's in now from what it was, that the New Market Tax Credits were very important in getting that going. And then we also had an Appalachian Regional Commission large grant for our equipment and supplies and all those things in the labs and the mannequins and all those kind of things. And if we didn't have this space, if we had that little space that we had in another building, we could not have done a traditional nursing program. And we couldn't have even expanded an RN to BSN without going all online, which we're increasingly going online as we use our space for the traditional students. But, none of that would have been possible if we didn't have the building.
Great. Well, do you have any final words or comments for us?
Just that we're very grateful. It is a beautiful facility. It's a pleasure, to work here and just how the building is structured and really nice quality materials that I think will last for a very long time.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time.
Well, thank you.